Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Vagrus The Riven Realms. We're here in Avernum. I've gone all the way around the world. I went down to the Realm Gate, teleported back to our own Realm Gate at the crossroads here, popped into Torzeg's shelter, and then traveled all the way around here to Avernum. And the goal today is to visit the mage in Quathos, and we can talk to him about our problems over in the Slag Fort. And then we also would like, if we have extra time, to pop over here and see if we can't find Barundar's camp. We'll have to do some circumnavigating of the lava flows, but I think we'll be fine. So to the mage in Quathos, speak of the wound within Quathos and of your encounters at its precipice at the Bountiful Glade. You begin explaining why this matter is of importance, elaborating on it in the context of the Bountiful Glade and Boethius's request, before ultimately mentioning the wound. When Incanus hears of its sickening confines, he perks up noticeably despite his concealed visage. You tell the sorcerer of the creatures and the wretched wanderer's fate, and all the while, he nods along, barely showing any emotion at all. A long silence follows your words, and you cannot help but feel that it is purposeful. When he speaks, it is in a measured drawl. The wound is a canker on the realms, an intrusion into this world. Long ago I inspected it with other, he hesitates, like-minded researchers. We swiftly concluded that despite its seemingly volatile and visceral nature, it is stable. When left alone or given a wide berth, it presents no tangible peril to passerby. Whatever this meddling fool did, however, it seems to have agitated it. Its roots are unknown to us. Whatever lies within or how it came to be remains a mystery. You posit in a questioning manner that it may have have demonic origins. What you and your Kome saw in its depths had a sickening and almost unholy nature. Unlikely, the sorcerer replies. Demons of the abyss are of two strains, either sheer violent force or conniving manipulating shadow. This phenomenon, these creatures you speak of, are different, but it does not matter, for our solution is the same. Please wait here, I want to show you something. So it sounds like rather than it being demonic, maybe it's like otherworldly? You nod and watch as Incanus disappears into the dark bowels of the tower, only to return a while later with a curious object. He extends his hand, holding forth a head-sized orb of bronze etched with arcane symbols. Beneath the cowl, you swear you see a flicker of a smile. After a breath, he continues speaking. This orb is an old runic artifact of dwarven origin, used by the Third Age runesmiths to contain and manifest liquid fire where they saw fit. He drawls. Centuries ago, adventurers acquired it and sold it to me. I will need to alter its magic slightly, turning it into a weapon of formidable potency for you to do what is necessary. There is, however, a catch. Well, two catches to be precise. This guy is over centuries old? I did not know that. The wound must be treated like any other gangrenous gash, stab, or festering cut, he explains. It must be cauterized, but to do that I will need to alter this instrument, and you must take it to the hottest lava imaginable. Found only in the certain regions in the realms. Vonarud is one of those regions. You tell him that this fact is rather convenient, but the second catch has not yet been revealed. Indeed, Incanus responds simply. This artifact, Vagrus, most consider it priceless. My power and knowledge do not come free either, he says, letting his words hang in the air. You tell them that whatever it costs, House Thalanis will pay it. Boethius of the Bountiful Glade was made as much clear. Spare no expense, you recall him saying. Spare no expense, you recall him saying. Again, an uncomfortable silence. For a moment you wonder if Incanus will just turn and walk away, but eventually he speaks again. Very well, I shall enchant the orb as needed and attach it to a heat-resistant chain, for you to douse it at some distance. Then I will teach you the incantation necessary to use it. I have no doubt this will destroy the threat you speak of, if you use it on the boil you described to me. You agree to the mage's terms. Splendid. I will need time, you understand. You may wait here, he declares nonchalantly. It should not take too long, but learning the incantation is also to be considered, he says, turning to return to the bowels of the tower, where he disappears for about half an hour. You wait alongside your Komes and are struck by a strange sense of space in the tower. Though before you are too put upon, the sorcerer returns with the bronze orb, which is now bound to a sturdy chain. He extends the artifact, and you have a companion take it before the hooded sorcerer addresses you once more. Shall we begin, Vagrus? You confirm that you are ready, and he gets to work, starting by using the incantation himself. Incanus is exacting in his teaching, and you practice with him for almost an hour before he is certain that you got it right. Remember, when the orb contains the molten rock, speak the final words of the incantation only, when you are sure to wish for it to manifest its flaming ichor. When it is upon your target, he warns, do so earlier and the orb in your hand, with the orb in your hand, and you will die. It enhances the lava that it will contain, turning its already devastating power into astonishing heights. Am I making myself clear? You tell him that he is. Good, he intones. I will speak with Thalanis' operatives in Avernum. You need not worry further about the payment they owe me. Now go, and remember, it is a good thing you are doing, Vagrus. The wound must not be allowed to fester. You thank the mage and turn your mind to other matters? We can leave. We don't need to go over that further. Did I get an actual item, or is it just more like a story object? It does not appear to be its own thing. I need to pop back to my salt squad at some point and get my exquisite tools back. That would be much better than the good quality tools I currently am towing around. Ooh, wait a minute. I've never had extra storage. Do I own this? No. All right, get that guy. Toss that right on there. If you don't need the smuggler's compartments, then there's no point in throwing that up there. Didn't I have a better... Maybe they changed the smuggler's compartments. I felt like I had a better version of the smuggler's compartments that gave us storage and stash, but maybe maybe that has changed. Or I sold them and forgot about it. Because that could also happen to me. Okay. Now, we got the orb. Douse the rune-etched orb in one of Varnarud's hottest lava foes. Okay, so we'll have to go back to go do that. But, while we're over here... You know what? While we're here, I should grab food. I have nothing to hide. Give me all the food you need, or the food you have. Good. And I don't think there's really things to trade with the tribes out here. So we'll just wander over to this guy, to Barundar's camp, and see what we can find. Yeah. It's really nice to be back with your, like, my full comitatus and being able to just move as fast as I normally do. Alright, well, we'll just force march then. A welcome change of pace for me just wandering around on foot. Skirt the lava. We'll avoid the writhing oasis. Weird place that. Well, this is new. In the pitch darkness of pre-dawn, you are awoken by a guard shaking you. Attackers! Outlaws, Vagrus! You rise like you've been doused with a bucket full of water. The guards are cowering behind rocks. Oh, I feel like we've had these people before where they yell at me. Laugh, answer and talk to them, stall for time, and try to solve the solution with words. Stall for more time. Good. Yeah, I remember this. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes. And they're going up against like an insurmountable team. Like, even if I didn't have 11 incredibly dangerous companions, I have like 36 mounted warriors. And like 6 dudes decided it was a good idea. I don't think any of... Oh! What about charge? Oh! Yeah, let's charge them. Yeah, do it. Get wrecked. It's a choice. They didn't even wound anybody. Did I get anything for that? I got some supplies. Oh, my dudes some people gained loyalty, some people lost loyalty because I tricked them? They attacked me. You shouldn't be mad at me. What did I do to deserve this? Nothing, I say. All right, let's start getting our vigor back. It's the downside of getting into battles is the vigor will take a hit. I don't think I should have gone down. I think I should have gone up. Yep. Oops. If we need more supplies after this, we could always run over to Sadirar real quick. Yeah, I don't need to go to the plains. It looks like there is a way to go up to Quathos, though, which is very fascinating. I'm assuming there's some sort of quest up there. That's something fun to look forward to. Foraging success. Good job, team. All right, where are we? Okay, a little further. Probably here, if I had to guess. Nope. If Karendar was not wrong, Barandar's camp has to hide on the volcanic plateau you now stand on. This place is exactly like the other parts of Tarar Barak. Bleak, oppressively hot, and craggy, with ashen clouds casting darkness over it. However, it is fairly common knowledge that the sane travelers do not journey further north, as it is going to be even more difficult as the plains become exceedingly volatile. Should you decide to do so, you can spread out and look for signs of a camp in the area. Let's do it. Spreading out like this is certainly risky, and due to the roughness of the terrain, replete with many crags, ravines, holes, and volcanic caves, covering the area takes a long time, too. Further than half a dozen scouts make it even harder, and by the time you are about to give up, you and your crew are exhausted. Finally, they call out to you. You all converge on them, and you see that they have found a small, round chamber opening from the wall of a deep, narrow crevice. It was formed by lava centuries ago, well hidden and protected from the elements and defensible. It is an ideal site for a camp for a small party. No wonder it took you this long to find it, even with the knowledge that some of the camp exists out here. But peeking inside, you recognize that the hideout is the one you've been looking for. Barandar is clearly here. Dwarven markings on the walls alone would attest to that, but other features reinforce the notion. Curiously, the small cave has collapsed despite being in a volatile has not collapsed despite being in a volatile place, but something tells you that the dwarves knew they would be safe from such a calamity. Emboldened, you enter and take a good look around. It becomes evident right away that the hidden cave was abandoned a long time ago. Apart from an old campfire place in the middle, there are flat stones stacked cleverly to function as makeshift chairs and tables, as well as dents in the ground for laying down bedrolls. At first glance, there is not much in the shelter apart from signs of old activity. We will search the place thoroughly just in case. Thinking that Karendar hoped that you would find something here, you take your time and do a thorough search. And indeed, at the back of the shelter, inside a hole hidden by a loose rock, you find a package wrapped in leather. You open it to discover a small flat stone inscribed with a message. Find us north of here, the way is rough, but we mapped out a way to the city. It is on the back of the stone. You turn the stone to examine the other side. A simple drawing reveals itself, etched into the stone using straight lines. You are looking at a primitive map with weird little shapes depicting landmarks, huge rock formations, hills, crags, and paths snaking between them. A sign points north, making it easy to orient the map using your chart. The symbol at the end of the path with the imperial letter Q can be nothing other than Quathos, Barandar's destination. Now you have the means to follow him there. Finding nothing of value or interest in the shelter, you leave it and regroup with the Comitatus. Hey, we immediately get to go to Quathos. Neat. Let's camp out. Don't let our obedience and morale dip too low. We want to start rebuilding the vigor from our forced marching. Look at that. That's cool. Ooh, I'm excited to see what this one looks like, gang. Here we go. Oh, that's so cool. You are about to reach the end of Barandar's path. For the last few miles, it took you across the hellscape of the grim plains at the bottom of a long snaking ravine. Although it hampered visibility, it shielded you from the worst of the scorching winds and frustrating ashfall. Now, as you emerge from the northern end of the valley, the terrain opens up and you are struck by the sight of a colossal ruined city of Quathos. Its dread silhouette has been looming on the horizon for a while now, backlit by the fiery glow of the molten tongue, as if it were on fire. But only now can you take in the view of the ancient dwarven capital in its fullest. Warped and utterly desolate, Quathos is the fallout of the calamity made manifest. Its old tall curtain walls hide most of the dreadful city, but the many gaps in them allow for a glimpse at the hollow rectangular buildings of fused stone, smooth but often cracked and covered in soot or ash. The size of some of the architecture is confounding, and you wonder how the ancient dwarves were capable of such feats. Much like the statue of the Emperor in Tot or the spires of Devon, the edifices tell the tale of an age long lost, one of immeasurable knowledge and uncanny technology. You approach the outskirts of the city carefully. Leaving most of the comitatus in the ruins of an inn, you spend the next hour or so looking for any signs of Barandar in the southern outskirts, taking great measures not to approach the curtain wall of Quathos. In the dwarf's position, you would set up a camp in this area, well outside the confines of the old capital. The search is exhausting. The combination of the long road here and the suffocating heat, the uneasiness emitted by Quathos and the ash-choked air is beginning to take its toll. The outskirts are a hodgepodge of low, mostly rectangular buildings of distinct dwarven make. The once sturdy houses are mostly thick walls now, with dark ash covering the ground both inside and outside their confines. The unrelenting heat is not as brutal as it is outside the city, but it still feels oppressive, as if being confined somehow. Every now and again, low rumbling rises from Quathos, its point of origin clearly the molten tongue. It shakes the earth for a few minutes at a time before dying down. At the same time, lava spews into the air behind the city high enough to be visible from your position. Some of it falls back into the molten tongue, but the rest bombards the northern half-submerged parts of Quathos, covering it with white-hot ichor from the earth. You search for the camp continues. At length, you locate a place that cannot be anything but the shelter Barandar's party made. It is inside a sturdy old house, no different from the hundreds of others of its kind spread all around the outskirts, except that it was recently marked by a dwarven rune. A new roof was made by skewing together pieces of hardened leather to make a tarp, and its floor is almost unbroken, rendering it ideal for habitation. Alas, there are no dwarves in this shelter either, not Barandar nor others. Beneath the canopy roof are makeshift furniture, bedrolls, containers, supplies, and other equipment, the placements of which betray dwarven precision. Moreover, it is evident from these that Barandar's party never moved from this camp, unlike the one you visited previously. You also tell that the shelter has not been used or visited in a long time. You sigh and tell your companions to search the premises carefully. Their findings are intriguing at least: scribbled maps of the ruined city, a leather-bound journal bearing Barandar's clan rune, and still edible supplies, some personal effects of the party members, and a set of runed stones tucked away in a sack. You contemplate your next move. There are a number of things to investigate here. Well, let's take the supplies. The supplies consist of salted meat, dried mushrooms, whey bread, and clear water. They are held in sturdy containers and mostly salvaged and repaired amphora. Judging by the proportioned stocks, it was meant to sustain about a half dozen people for several weeks. There are also medical supplies carefully stashed away in a small chest. We will take it all. Let's examine the maps. The maps were drawn neatly using small pieces of graphite on a stack of old parchment. They depict parts of Quathos in various detail. By the looks of it, Barandar was skilled at cartography, but he must have found the ruins confounding. Perhaps he was just trying to make sense of it all by mapping each area and district. You identify important landmarks inside of Quathos: the Hall of Kings at the center, right next to the statue of Baldan, the Stone Warden Fortress to the east, and something denoted by a looking glass symbol. The Grand Archives to the northwest are circled on most maps. Inventor's Square seems to be situated about 2/3 of the way from there, from the camp. You also find markings marked in various places. Apes is certainly ominous, while collapse, too hot, and undead, and lava beneath have been repeated several times over various parts of the ruins. You take note of everything. Okay, so we've examined the maps. Go through the forsaken personal effects. Looking through the meager personal belongings of Barandar's party is disheartening to say the least. There are odd little trinkets and spare sets of clothing, whetstones, old jewelry. Nobody leaves these behind unless they intend to go back for them. If you are looking for valuables, some of these might qualify. Whoa! We just stole all their stuff. We already did this, right? Yeah. Read the leather-bound journal thoroughly. The journal was specifically brought to chronicle Barandar's journey into Quathos. The initial parts describe his travels from Doomgarak. The party descended the grind, resupplied in scrap heap, and then crossed northern Tarar Barak to reach the Bountiful Glade. There they paid a guide handsomely to be taken over to Avernum via a hidden route between Arenas Negras and the Voiceless Lake. Oh, cool. From then on, they took a southern path, circumvented the great lava lakes at the southern end of the Molten Tongue, and pushed north to reach the Grim Plains. Barandar stayed very optimistic throughout these travels. He also made mention of their goal several times, which was to enter the Great Archives and retrieve some architectural plans. They established a camp in Tarar Barak, the one that you found, and went on exploring the path to Quathos. At last, after a month of probing and prodding, of clambering over rocks and crawling up ravines while fending off all sorts of beasts or worse, we have found the way into Quathos. The lost capital is as magnificent and terrifying as we had anticipated. The scale of what the ancestors were capable of is just unbelievable, but Quathos specifically, with its gestalt architecture and mind-boggling vastness. We established the camp by late afternoon. Everything is quiet. Yes, there's the occasional quake or lava eruption, but otherwise everything is silent. We start exploring paths to Quathos, into Quathos tomorrow. A page later, the silence of the ruins seems to have been disrupted. We woke to bone-chilling guttural roars coming from the city. Soon more came, but whatever gruesome creatures were making them, they have not ventured close to the old curtain walls. I shudder to think what these beasts might be. Not undead, I don't think so. We've seen enough of those to know. Whatever the case, we are to venture into Quathos proper from the outskirts today. It is not known if a path exists to the Grand Archives, but if it does, we will find it. I intend to see this through, as my dear cousin would say. We keep turning the page. The next few pages detail Barandar's efforts to find a way to the fabled Grand Archives. Their forays remained successful initially, mapping a path to the vast southwestern avenue, but then the dwarves failed to strike out successfully towards their final goal. Much of their frustrating setback was attributed to the unimaginably harsh conditions inside of ruined Quathos. Bergtor is dead. The city swallowed him whole. No matter how careful we are, the lava of the Molten Tongue has carved caves filled underground tunnels beneath Quathos. These are now deadly traps. One moment you walk on solid ground. The next, the very earth opens beneath your feet with a crack, and in you go, lost forever. There's nothing of Bergtor I can bring back either. I wish we had maps of the old underground ways, because perhaps we could avoid the most dangerous parts, but those very maps would also be inside of the Grand Archives. Admittedly, it is a frustrating conundrum. Thus, we are trying new paths and have a good feeling about Inventor's Square if we can make it there. Regrettably, some of the group are having second thoughts. With supplies dwindling and the loss of Bergtor, they're suggesting leaving. I have not entertained this cowardice yet, but the time will come when their doubts will be much more difficult to lay to rest. Another section, a day after the previous, catches your attention. Today the heat was worse than ever. Great pulses of scorching waves came off of the Molten Tongue. Anyone caught out of cover inside of Quathos was badly burned. We were lucky. I decided to pull out before any disasters could happen. As we were heading back, we caught a glimpse of the roaring creatures. These last few weeks, their calls are a constant companion in and around the city. Not a welcome one by any stretch of the imagination. No matter how many times one hears that roar, it somehow unsettles the core. But today we finally saw them. We could not get a good look due to the distance and the insane heat distorting our view, but the creatures seemed to move in an ape-like fashion. Apes? They're seemingly powerful and bestial. What are they? Somehow I feel that we do not wish to know the answer. Not truly. We keep turning the page. It's difficult to write. Two are dead, Vari and Othok, torn to pieces by them, the twisted ancestors. The tales are true. I hoped against hope that they are not. Despite hearing about them from the other inhabitants of Doomgarak, it was them. They burst out of the ruins, bestial rage and black hunger made manifest. We barely made it out. I can't bring myself to think about Vari and Othok, what happened to their remains. By the gods, I find it hard to keep from weeping. But I have to, for the others. They are already talking about giving up, about our hopes having been crushed. I can't blame them, but I also can't give up. I can't kill Karandar's dream because I am a coward, or because I can't fathom how such abominable, cruel things can exist. That they used to be... No, I can't even write it down. We have to persevere. I promise to return to with the plans, and I shall. That's what Karandar would do. We'll move from Inventor's Square to the northwest, across the lava streams. I'm certain it can be done. The archives are so close. Tomorrow we set out. No more hesitation, only conviction. There are no more entries left by Barandar. On the next page, the very last thing written in the journal is someone else's hasty scribblings. Barandar left. He won't come back, nor will the others. The two of us stayed to guard the camp. He won't come back. It's been days. We want to leave. We'll leave. We'll only take what we need. We're sorry we failed you. You close the journal frowning. Huh. Examine the rune stones? The claw sack contains a set of carved stones etched with runes, each the size of a fist. There are runic wards, one placed around an area empowered by a command word. They will warn their owner of impending danger. This makes them ideal guards out in the wasteland, one that few can dispel or circumvent. You wonder why Barandar would leave this treasure behind. Perhaps the excursion they left to undertake was not meant to be long enough to warrant such wards. Or could it be that these runes are a liability inside the accursed Quathos? In any case, finding them here is an ill omen. You take them with you for the time being. Neat! Runic wards. We are done. Yeah. Leave the shelter behind. Leaving the shelter and walking back to where the Comitatus' camp, you wonder what to do now. Barandar is almost certainly dead, lost along with his companions. What else can explain his failure to return to his shelter for this long? However, there is even the slightest chance that he survived. You have to follow him. Besides, even if he is indeed dead, reclaiming his remains or personal belongings might ease the minds of those who care about him, or help prove what happened to Karandar and Drala when you return to them. Thus, it would make sense to at least strike out towards Inventor's Square, the last known destination of the Dwarven explorers. You took a glimpse at Barandar's maps briefly before leaving the shelter for good, and based on that, you probably know where you can find your way there. At length, you return to the Comitatus at your campsite in the ruined inn, and contemplate what to do next. Alright. We will look at the outskirts next time, but I wanted to look at those wards real quick. Maybe I'm not allowed. Okay, let's pause the episode there. If you guys enjoyed it, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more episodes of Vagrus The Riven Realms or the other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have your notifications on so you know when the next videos go live. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!